So good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Excellent. So as Stephanie said, my name is Virginia Pryor. Please call me Ginger. You may hear folks calling me Ginger in Virginia, so there's always some confusion about my identity and who I am. I am both persons, but not in a split personality way. So I spent a majority of time working for Casey Family Programs. I was with Casey for about 11 and a half years in my journey with the foundation, serving in many different roles for Casey, all the way from helping them to implement family group decision making across all of their field offices to serving as the chair for National Foster Care Month, which is an awareness campaign around the issue of foster care. May is National Foster Care Month for those that may not know. And also serving as a strategic consultant. Some of you may have met Lynn Bragg, who is actually your strategic consultant here in Georgia from Casey Family Programs, and I also served in that role with the foundation as well. My states were Mississippi, Nevada, and Delaware, as well as traveling across the country to work with child welfare systems to help to improve their systems by providing training and technical assistance across the states. And so I'm very passionate about the work. Before that, I was with Child and Family Services in the District of Columbia, at the time helping them through their receivership, the LaShawn modified order. Some of you may be familiar with that. Mississippi also has a consent decree, which is their Olivia Y. So working with them on that. My whole life, my past 20 plus years, has been around focusing on child welfare. I have a passion for child welfare, and I really just wanted to say today, because I think it's important, that while I am a consultant and was brought on by Casey Family Programs to help work with you all in partnership to do this work, you know, I speak from the voice of an individual who's passionate for children and families, you know, not from the directive of the foundation, but really from, you know, the heart of the matter, and that's to improve outcomes for children and families. And so that is how I hope you all will see this presentation. It's really early. It's really an early assessment of things that I have seen since I've been here, and I've only been here for a short period of time, just a little bit over 30 days. And so when Bobby asked me, could I provide an early assessment to the council, I was like, already? But I am very excited to be here to share hopefully maybe some new information with you, but maybe some information that you may already know, but also providing some context and things around how we might be able to move forward in partnership in the work. So with that, I'd just like to, okay, it worked earlier today. Maybe if I go like that.
I'm gonna sit back here.
Okay, thank you. It was all working. That's technology though, it does that. So I'll start with the question of how are the children? There is, many of you might have heard of the Maasai tribe and the Swahili quote, Kinsera Injera, that asks the question of how are the children? And I start my presentations this way all the time, actually just having my own mentor, William Bell, who's the CEO of Casey Family Programs, serves as my mentor. He has been my mentor for several years now, and I'll never forget the first time that I heard him speak years ago. He opened it up with how are the children, because that sets the frame for everything that we talk about, how we move forward. Every action that we have starts with how are the children. And in the Maasai tribe, even though that they're a tribe of warriors, focusing on, you know, strengthening, you know, their tribe, their focus was how are the children, and the response from the tribe was always that the children are well. And so even though they were a great warrior tribe, they knew that if the children weren't well, then the community as a whole wasn't well. If the children weren't thriving, if we weren't looking after the poor, if we weren't making decisions that bettered communities, then it ultimately meant that the children wouldn't be well, and it ultimately meant that the future of the tribe would not be able to go forward. And I love the saying because I always feel that children really set the tone for what our future will be like moving forward. We always focus on new technology. I happen to be out and about enjoying your great city of Atlanta. As many of you may know, I'm here for a long period of time, but I actually live in San Diego, California. and I'm from Washington State. So there is the heat and the humidity that is a little challenging for a West Coast person because it's about 65 in Seattle now and raining. And so I'm ready to wear my raincoat and, put my rain boots on at this point. But I got a chance to go around your city and see different things. And, the iPhone just launched. And at the Mac store, the line was it was crazy. I mean, the line was around the corner because everybody was so excited about getting this new technology. And I thought to myself, as I always think about new technology or cures for cancer or AIDS or any of those things that we face in this country, we have a new Ebola crisis that's happening. But without taking care of children, there will be no one in the future who will come up with the latest technology, the iPhone 20, or the cure for other strains. So if we don't shape their minds and we don't take care of them, there will be no earth to save, because they're the ones that set the tone for what will happen, and it's what we put in them that will ultimately shape what the future looks like. And it's so awesome because I feel like we have an opportunity to shape the future. I asked a gentleman on the plane, as you may know in this short 5 seconds, I like to tell stories, but I met a guy on a plane. Actually, he's a rabbi on a plane. It sounds like the beginning of I'm going to tell a joke. So I met a rabbi on the plane, and but I was sitting next to him, and I just had the most amazing conversation with him in our 5-hour ride. And he asked me, what do I do for a living? And I said I work with children and families in the child welfare system. And he talked about how that's such amazing work, and he talked about his journey. And he said that a child that he knew asked his father when he saw a homeless man, Dad, why can't we bring him in? And he's like, well, we can't bring him. We can't bring this person into the church because there's rules and regulations. We can't do that. And the child looked at him and he said, well, what would Jesus do then? And as a result of that, the father started a homeless group, which ultimately grew into a large homeless network that started feeding homeless individuals, housing them, providing medical needs for homeless people, all because of the question that a young person asked. All because someone took the opportunity to see that through their eyes we can shape the future. And how tremendous is that, to be able to have a hand in shaping the future? And the only way we will be able to do that is if we change the lives of children. So with that, I thought about going back to Are the Children Well? I wondered what would happen in this country if we all started asking each other that question. So, how are the children? And can we answer with strength and power and conviction that the children across this country are well? Are the children well in Georgia? And so you have in front of you a handout from Kids Count. It's a little data profile. And so asking the question, how are Georgia's children? Georgia's children are not well. Georgia ranks 42nd out of 50 states when it comes to their overall well-being. Kids Count focuses on 4 critical areas: economic well-being, education, health, family, and community. Those are the 4 domains of which they focus on. And so what I wanted to do was just have you all take a minute to see where Georgia fares in terms of its children. And then in comparison, how we fare against the United States. And so we often ask sometimes, are we on trend? Well, we're on trend with the United States, and not necessarily in a good way. There are some aspects where we are having some improvement, and so we are on trend with the United States in that way, but there are a lot of areas where we are not doing well. So if you take a look at economic well-being, children in poverty, it's worsened since 2005. However, if you take a look at education, we've improved since 2005. If you take a look at family and community, children living in high poverty areas or children with single parents, it's worsened over time. And so again, how many of you are familiar with Kids Count? Kids Count is an amazing organization championed by Annie E. Casey. Annie E. Casey funds individual organizations across the country, and since 1990, Kids Count has monitored this data nationally. And so if you go to their website, you can actually go to the Kids Count website. For those of you who really want to get into the data, get behind the data, what is it saying? How did they collect this information from the US Census and other places? For those of you who really want a more robust look at your data profile and look in comparison against other states, Kids Count compiles all of that information. And so we know that from this research, well-being of a child is our best indicator. It is our best indicator for our economic and social future. So we have an opportunity here. I don't share this information to start off with a gloom and doom picture. I share this information to give us a larger context of what's happening to children and families in our state, in the great state of Georgia. I share this information because we have an opportunity to create a continuum for children and families, a continuum that supports healthy families, healthy children, and healthy communities. Kids Count gives you a framework to present this argument to all of our partners. And while we're here talking about DFACS, and I'll get to some of the things that I have seen in a few moments, DFACS really is the last line of defense when it comes to children and families. We are the last line of defense. So when you think of our security systems, right? They have all of these they have all of these barriers. If you break this one barrier, then there's another one that you have to go through until the mainframe is no longer secure. And so if you think about that, if we look at child welfare system as an arc of a security system, by the time they get to DFACS, we have broken every barrier, and now they're at the mainframe. They're at the end of the line in terms of breaching their safety, breaching permanency, and breaching their well-being. And I don't say that to release DFACS from what their primary goals are, to release them from needing to be improved. I think there is great improvement that needs to happen within DFACS. I present the argument so that we can look at each other from across this aisle and out in the community and join hands so that we can create a stronger child welfare continuum. Because if we create a stronger child welfare continuum from the front end, we'll minimize what is needed on the back end to serve children and families. I start there with that, and I'd like, oh, thank you. I was gonna move it myself and realized that, yes, I can't do that.